Hi, welcome to Good Enough Painting. Today we're working on my heretic astartes kill team, starting with my chaos cultist. My army's color scheme is going to be the flawless host chapter, but this could easily work for Emperor's Children if you just swap out some of the silvers for some of the gold. Alright, let's get to it. First thing up, let's please the internet by scraping off those mold lines. You do this by taking the edge of your hobby knife and trying to scrape off the plastic left hanging on by being pressed into a mold. And with that out of the way, let's prime the model gray. First paint that's going to be loaded up is Skaven Blight Dinge. We'll be applying this as a heavy dry brush all over the model. This stage is very subtle and I don't think it came out on camera very well. Next color is Shopti Bone. I blend this into the Skaven Blight Dinge on my palette shown here and apply it as a dry brush, but this time only on the model's cloak and hood. For your final dry brush, mix in a little Administratum Gray into the blend that you have going and apply this as a dry brush, only focusing on the upper portion of the model. Next color up, we're going to be using Genestealer Purple. This will be applied in 2 thin coats on the pants. Then water down the purple to a glaze consistency and apply this in an irregular pattern on the bottom portion of the back of the cloak. On the inside of the cloak, we're going to be grabbing a Shopti Bone again. Thin this down so you have to apply multiple coats or else it'll leave streaking. Now let's try to freehand some tentacles on the back of this guy's cloak. On most of the color schemes that I found, most of them incorporate some kind of tentacles running up the model. Then lightly running my paintbrush down a few millimeters at a time, making my strokes wider as I'm at the base of the cloak. The plan was to have the tentacles emerging from a sort of mist or energy that was coming out of the bottom of the cloak. And now we're going to be going back in and tracing all the purple tentacles that we just did, leaving behind the pure Genestealer Purple we just painted on, only on the perimeters. The idea I had was the tentacles are glistening, so on the outside is catching light, and through the middle is also going to be catching light, which will hit in the highlighting stage. Next color is going to be Rhinox Hide. We're going to be using this color for all the leather elements, to include his waist belt, pouches, wrist wraps, and the necklace strap. Next for his eye lenses, I'm going to be using Mephiston Red for this. Then mix in a little white, and then just dot the bottom right of the lens. Now I'm going to be getting my flesh tone out. I'm using Cadian flesh tone thinned down a bit to apply multiple coats. This model doesn't have much exposed skin except for his fingers. Now let's paint those metallics. I'm only going to be using silver, specifically Ironbreaker, but if you wanted to, let's say, paint Emperor's Children, I would add some gold into the scheme, maybe make his pendant gold or just some gold elements, a little bit more gaudy. For the silver, I paint the gas canisters, the Chaos Emblem, buckles and clasps on his pouches and belt. And then with the brush still loaded, I nick at the rifle around where you think it would receive the most wear and tear. Now go wash out that paint cup. This would be a good time to tidy up any of those mistakes that you messed up in any of the details. I actually forgot to hit record on the camera before mixing the wash, but I used roughly a 5:2 mix of Knoll Oil and Reikland Flesh Shade, and I applied this all over the model. While giving that wash time to dry, I decided to speed paint a few of the other models in the set. Using the same colors and repeating all the steps I just made, save for the first 2 dry brushes, I was able to achieve about the same look in about 20 minutes. Alright, awesome. Wash is dried, and now we can move on to the highlighting stage. Let's get those tentacles looking, well, wet. Mix in a little of your purple into the Administratum Gray, and then lightly paint down the center of those tentacles. Then with a little watered down Genestealer Purple, re-establish that fade from light purple we just painted to the dark purple at the bottom of the cloak. With that out of the way, we can come back in with your silver and give the top portion of all your metallics a silver shine back. With thin Administratum Gray, smooth out your dry brush strokes on the upper hood and the shoulders to get ready for the white edge highlight. I'm using white scars for this step, and only focusing on the hood and shoulders that we just smoothed out. Using the side of your brush, carefully hit all the hard and soft edges of the hood. And just because I wanted to be a tryhard, I took out a bit of thinned down Skag Brown and gave the leather elements a light highlight, where I thought they would receive the most wear and tear. For the base, I'm using Citadel Stirland Mud texture. Once I'm done with the whole set, I may come back in and add some industrial elements stuck in or showing through the mud, but for now this will be good enough. With the base rim painted black, that about covers it. Thank you for joining me today. If you like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be revisiting the color scheme soon for the rest of the kill team that I'm starting, so stay tuned for that. And remember, you don't have to be perfect, just good enough.